Yo, fellow travelers, what's up? Today I want to dive into a topic that's been making headlines all around the world, and that is the anti tourist sentiment that we've seen in places like Barcelona and Bali. And I really want to know your thoughts on that as well. So let's unpack what's happening, why it's happening, and what it means for the future of travel. Let's get into it. So let's start off with the city that caught my attention in this topic with some things that I saw on the news, and that is Barcelona, a city that has been struggling with tourism for decades now, but recently it's been even more in the spotlight due to its vocal mass protests against tourism. As I said, they've been struggling with over tourism for years now, and that means things like crowded streets, rising rents, and the loss of local community. So recently, those protests have escalated with a lot of people putting up signs and spray painting the walls saying tourists go home. And maybe the most extreme one that you might have seen are people like squirting tourists with water guns while they're trying to eat at restaurants. So Barcelona is a city that has been struggling with its love for tourism because, trust me, a lot of Barcelona's economy passes through tourism. But right now, they also need to think about how they're going to protect the quality of life for their residents. So what do you think about this? Honestly, it does turn me off from traveling to Barcelona because I don't want to go anywhere and feel unwelcome. But I'm not sure that this direct confrontation with tourists is the answer. Maybe they need to put more pressure on their government to change regulations and therefore giving them a better quality of life. Let me know your thoughts down below. By the way, if this is your first time on the channel, my name is Art, and I've been traveling the globe for the past 10 years now, trying to make my life story a book worth reading, you know? So if you also want to rewrite your story through travel and you feel like that's a message that's worth spreading, please give this video a like so it will spread to more people. Cheers! The next crackdown we're going to talk about is in Amsterdam, a city that's known for being extremely liberal, but when it comes to tourists, the government has been getting pretty strict about it. So recently they've launched some campaigns targeting rowdy tourists, especially young men from the UK, of course. You know, the whole lads on tour concept. And the basic message of those campaigns is that if you are coming to Amsterdam to party and disrupt, you better think again. It's a bold move, of course, but it is one that aims to preserve the city's culture and to make sure that the tourism benefits everyone, especially the local residents. Now, I don't know that I have any particular stories about being disruptive in Amsterdam, thankfully, but I can speak to an experience that I had, which is I was traveling with a group of friends, and we sat at a regular cafe, not a weed cafe. And my friend did just light up a joint in the middle of the cafe, and it did not take long for the waitress to come over and say, listen, there are a lot of places to do that here in Amsterdam. Please do not smoke in our cafe, which of course she was completely right about. And I think that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg of behavior that we can expect from tourists. But of course, when you get those groups of young men, those lads on tour, things can get pretty complicated, much worse than that. I want to quickly talk about Airbnb because I know it's a massive part of the problem. Of course, it raises rents in local areas and contributes to extreme gentrification. Honestly, I'm an avid Airbnb user, and I guess the reason I use it is because I just don't make that much money. I'm trying to get by as I travel, and Airbnb seems to be the most affordable options in lots of places. Now, if there were some rules and regulations that implemented some sort of outlaw on Airbnb, well, I guess then I would just have to rethink if I can afford traveling to that place or not. I do honestly think that a lot of it is on the back of the governments that need to make some changes that would protect the quality of life of its residents. But of course, on another level, Airbnb does contribute to the local economy because it does put money in the hands of locals, which certainly beats staying at the Hilton or something like that. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that below as well. The next city that is struggling with tourism behavior is, of course, Bali. Paradise on earth, right? Well, maybe not for everyone. Honestly, I haven't been to Bali in the last decade, so I think it's changed a lot since then. I would actually like to go back and see what the situation is, but I also can't be bothered. So of course the island has been struggling with tourists who don't respect the local customs, and that goes from anything like inappropriate behavior at temples to the violation of local laws. So the backlash has been pretty strong on that. And of course, a lot of the other effects like gentrification in Bali are pretty obvious. I mean, when you have an avocado cafe on every corner with Western prices for meals, that is going to push out the local community more and more as the years go by. And that actually reminds me of Mexico City. We've seen that gentrification happening over there, especially in the last decade as well, with a lot of Americans deciding to move there during the pandemic. So I guess they needed the wall to keep the Americans out, not the other way around. So, of course, in Bali, the locals are starting to get pretty fed up, and I think the government is starting to take action. They are implementing rules and regulations to protect the cultural heritage and, of course, the island's natural beauty. If you've been to Bali recently, I would love to know what you thought of the whole situation. Dubrovnik in Croatia is another city that has been feeling the strain of over tourism in the past decades, and that's not only due to its beautiful coastline and medieval walls, but also to the massive, impactful success of Game of Thrones, which of course has tourists flooding in to see the backdrop for King's Landing. So, due to the sheer number of visitors in Croatia, they've already started to implement some regulations. For example, they're capping the number of tourists that can be in the old town at any given time. And of course, that's going to help protect the city's infrastructure, but also make it a much better experience for those people that are visiting. So, that's something that I'm all for, honestly. If there are some regulations in place that are going to guarantee me a better experience and it just means that I have to wait my turn, so be it. So, what does all of this mean for us travelers? Is this anti tourist sentiment a wake up call of sorts for us? Maybe it is time for us to start thinking about more sustainable types of travel that respect local communities, cultures, and environments. On a very superficial level, of course, some of the things we can already start doing is avoid overcrowded destinations, support local businesses, and be mindful of our behavior when we travel. That one's pretty easy. If you have any other ideas about how we can be more responsible travelers, let me know down below. So until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember that our travels are meant to make the world a better place, not just for us, but for everyone. I'll see you on the next one.